the early 17th century up until the end of the Second World War, which is the cutoff date. So that now, for example, we know, or it has been confirmed, that probably the first Latino to settle in New York, at least for a period of time at the beginning of the 17th century, was an individual by the name of Juan Rodriguez. Okay? Juan Rodriguez, a so-called free mulatto from the island of Hispaniola, which today is, subdivided between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And apparently he was left somewhere in New York, we don't quite know exactly where according to the documents, by Dutch merchants to deal with local Indians. And this takes place before the actual establishment of the New Amsterdam colony in 1624, and may have had something to do with the contraband trade that the Dutch were involved in. So we have that now as a result of this information that's being summarized in the catalog. We also now know much more about the so-called Spanish Negroes who were captured by the English and sold as slaves to New Yorkers in the mid-18th century. These individuals who always claimed that they were free under the Spaniards and unjustly enslaved became scapegoats during a hysteria that broke out in 1741 when New Yorkers suppressed an alleged conspiracy by the slaves to free themselves after a number of mysterious fires broke out in the city. The essays in the catalog also provide or confirm new information that we now have on New York's Latino communities in the years and decades that follow the 1740s, including new information, sometimes wonderful details on individuals, nationalities, politics, literary and artistic contributions, and on the expanded trading relations between New York and Latin America from the 18th century up until the 1940s. And so I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is that the research continues. And the needed updating continues. Publications have been put out, but there's always new detail, new information that needs to be discovered and needs to be written up. Up and coming young scholars continue to pursue this research. For example, I'm aware that at this point there's the beginnings of an effort to systematically study beyond sampling the census records for Latinos in New York City for the period 1910 to 1940. This is going to block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood survey of the census records. And one of the things that should come out from this study is what we're beginning to find out about the population of South Central Harlem, which used to have many Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and other Latinos resident there in the period from roughly 1900 to the mid-50s before it became a primarily African-American neighborhood. And we're talking about the area from west of Fifth Avenue, north of 110th Street or Cathedral Parkway, up to about 116th Street and going west to Morningside, not too far from here. So this book that Claudio has edited is an important contribution to the story that needs to be told about Latinos in New York. And we look forward to other publications, new research in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. One of the frequently asked questions by those who look at demographic change is whether Hispanic identity is placed on people from more than 20 different countries once they get here, or whether it's an identity they claim for themselves, and the mutability of those definitions over time. Milagros Ricord is chair of Latin American and Puerto Rican Studies at Lehman College at the City University. Her chapter in the book, The Emergence of Latino Pan-Ethnicity. Milagros?
I believe that when you talk about the Latinization of New York City, it's like you open a Pandora box and you don't know what is going to come out from there. And this is what the book is doing. It's actually bringing many different aspects of Latinos in New York City. And each of them, probably, they are not so connected, and probably each of them could be another book. There are so many things about Latinos in New York City. And I'm gonna give you one example. 24 years ago, a group of ethnographers, actually graduate students, went to Corona, Queens, hired by the New Immigrants and All-Americans project of Queens College, directed by Dr. Roger Sanjek. I was writing my dissertation, or I wanted to write my dissertation, and I said, why not Corona? I'm doing research here. Probably I can take all this data and write my dissertation. But I didn't know what about. I moved into the community. I started to attend a Methodist church services every Sunday. I have to go to the laundromat. I have to go to the post office. I have to take the train. I have to do so many things in the community. Something that caught my attention was that women, basically, from different nationalities, Dominican, Colombian, Ecuadorian, Salvadorian, Uruguayan, they share the grassroots of the community. And what I witnessed was not fragmentation, like Dominicans are here, Colombians are there, or Salvadorians are in the other side. What I witnessed was that there was some sort of unity, exchange of information, exchange of the things that we need in the community, like babysitting, cooking, etc. For me, that was, fascinating. That was fascinating. I really wanted to go and study Dominicans, okay, but I couldn't. I couldn't extract Dominican from that community. That dissertation became a book, Hispanas to Queens, from where one of those chapters was actually published in this book, Latinization of New York. And one thing that I do, and also the co-author, Ruby Danta, is actually see that unity, how it grows in the community from bottom up. And I'm going to do something, I'm going to tell you something here. We saw that unity until a certain level. And actually we saw the unity, the upper, like the formal politics. And I remember one election, there was an open seat for a councilman in Corona, in that district, a specific district. And Aida Gonzalez, an Ecuadorian woman that was supported by these, many different organizations, diverse Latin American organizations, became one of the candidates for the Democratic campaign. However, the Democratic machinery introduced somebody else in that election, and that was Iran Montserrat, who eventually won the election. And imagine what happened. What happened today with Iran. So Iran was the person who actually killed that unity that actually was going to achieve some kind of gain in the formal politics. And